Hey guys, I hope everyone is having a really awesome day. Really good content for you today. So hello, I'm excited as always. So very first time joining. My name is Dominique Price and welcome. I'm excited that you guys are here. If you're new, welcome. This is always a fun atmosphere. I like to break down either current events that we see in the news that have a legal aspect to it. I like to kind of give you guys a business tutorial and just like legal and how to protect yourself so you guys don't end up in some of the same issues that we see a lot of people in today. It's always a good time. So get ready. Let's get to the breakdown. So how many of us have actually listened to Jayz's album yet? It's not required for this podcast. What are we doing? Periscope? We're on Periscope. Yeah, guys, bring it down. Okay, on to the good stuff. Okay, so if you guys, whether you're a Jayz fan or not, I think there's always just a little bit of information that you can gather from listening to new genres of music or just listening to like what's hot, especially in cultural news, because I feel like Jayz dropping an album is definitely just a part of the culture. And so if you haven't listened to it already, Jayz has a track that's entitled, what is the doggone song called? Caught in Their Eyes. The song is called Caught in Their Eyes. And so several things that are going on and several things that are at play here, you guys. So the backstory is that nowadays, you guys, artists will come up with a contract. It's usually a licensing deal to have their music streamed only on one streaming platform for a certain amount of time. That makes that streaming company's numbers and subscriptions go through the roof because everybody wants to hear this new artist's CD. So usually what it'll be is like a period of like maybe 7 days, 10 days, a month, 3 months. But if you guys, I don't know if you guys are huge Prince fans, but in 2015, Prince put out a CD called Hit Run. But it was exclusively available on Tidal for 90 days, you guys, which is a really long time. Outside of Beyonce, there have been like very few artists that have given that long of rights to one streaming program. So this was really huge for Tidal. So Tidal made a ton of money in subscriptions from that licensing deal that they had with Prince. Now, moving forward to when Prince actually passed away, when Prince passed away, Tidal was the only streaming company that was able to stream his entire catalog of music. No, if you guys remember, if you were trying to go to Apple, if you were trying to go to Spotify, no other streaming platform was able to actually get into his entire catalog. They may have been able to get a few CDs, you were maybe able to listen to a few songs, but they didn't have his full catalog, which is huge, which is a major reason, yes, a major reason why a lot of people swarmed over to Tidal as soon as Prince died. I mean, he was a legend. You wanted to just be engulfed in the majesticness that was Prince after he passed away. So again, you guys, I know a few people just joined. We're talking about Prince, Jayz, Tidal, and ongoing legal battle, and how you guys just always want to make sure that you have a really legit contract. So moving to 2016, so in November 2016, we all know, because I've periscoped on it many times before, Prince did not have a will. That's, everybody knows this. So his estate is pretty much, excuse my language, a shit show. It really is. This is why I tell you guys how imperative it is that you guys really detail the wishes that you have. Like, anything could happen to you tomorrow, and you may think like, oh, ain't nothing happened to me anytime soon, so I don't need a will. Please, if you have family, if you have children, if you have a significant other that you're not married to, if you have a great deal of assets that you're accumulating, if you have a business, if there's anything in your life that you have that you really want to make sure is done a proper way, if anything was to happen to you, let's just say you went into, and heaven forbid, because I pray that this doesn't happen to you, but let's just say, for example, you went into a coma for 90 days, which could happen, and you had a business out there. If you don't have a will, if you don't have some type of agreement that stipulates exactly how you want your business and your affairs to be ran, people will do what they think. And let's be clear, everybody's thinking ain't on one accord to you and I's, okay? Let's just be real. Let's think about it. Half of our family members we would never go into business with. ever, because we know that they can't do no business. Let's be real. There are a lot of people that have great intentions but have no clue what they're doing and may enter into something that would be far from what you would ever do to your life. So let's bring you guys up to date. So now his half siblings all have a portion of his estate. Prince has an assortment of new music that has not been released, lyrics that haven't actually been tied to actual music yet. So just a plethora of information. You guys remember how when Tupac died, there were still CDs of brand new music coming out that we had never heard of? It's because he was constantly in the booth recording. Prince was the same way. He lived in his studio. He was always recording new music. So what we could potentially in the future hear from Prince could be some of the best music he ever made. We don't know yet, because his heirs now have control over his catalog. So in November, Tidal was sued for still playing his catalog. Here's the reason why. So in Jay-Z's song, and I want to read it verbatim because this is the tea, you guys. So Tidal is currently being sued for playing the catalog, but Tidal claims that they had permission from Prince to have the exclusive right to play his entire catalog. Now, this is not Jay-Z's first lawsuit where someone told him something and he did not subscribe it to a contract. So in the song Caught in Their Eyes, Jay-Z raps. I won't rap to y'all because y'all know any other time I probably would, but today I'm gonna chill. He says, I sat down with Prince eye to eye, told me his wishes before he died. Now Londell McClain, he must be colorblind from purple in his eyes. So he's basically saying, Prince told me what I could do with his music and I'm doing it and I'm living under his wishes, but Londell, who just made $3.1 million for selling some of his catalog back to the big music corporations that Prince worked his butt off to get free of, he's now making money by selling this music back to these major companies that Prince worked really, really hard, like years of lawsuits to get his catalog back from these individuals. Like his business lawyer and manager is now selling the music back, you guys. Crazy. So Jay-Z's basically trying to say, and he also has a live interview that Prince did. I know, girl, messing up the entire legacy, which is why I can stress to you guys, please have a will. Please. It's not even something that you need to sit down with a lawyer to do. Please, you guys, I will even do an entire free webinar to walk y'all through how to do a will if that's something that you guys really need help with. It pains my heart. I get really emotional when I hear about people dying and not having a will, because I know that if you would have thought that something could have happened to you, I know you would have done it. I know you would have sat down, and I know you would have. Why would his lawyer do that? Because a lot of people only see dollar signs, unfortunately. I'm trying to explain to you guys, it's not just the music industry. I've worked for major corporations. I've worked in the sports world. I've worked for you musicians and artists. I've worked on the publishing side. Because of being a transactional lawyer and being a business lawyer, I've helped people from all across the industries, you guys, and it's shady regardless of where you're doing business, which is why I tell you guys all the time, put it to pen and paper. I repeat, put it to pen and paper. I may have somebody write me a jingle that's all about put it pen to paper. Put it pen to paper. Because when all else fails, you guys, I promise you, when all else fails, that's what the court is going to adhere to, and not some conversation that you had over cigars with your homie. I tell you guys all the time, if Vernette Marie Price, i.e. my mother, and I were doing business, she would sign a contract. It's not that I don't trust her, but that would be a whole nother scope. It's about the simple fact that things happen, you guys. Period, point blank. That's what holds up in court, death or life. Prince is not here to tell y'all the intimate conversation that he had with Jay-Z. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know, you guys. We don't know. And when I tell you there are millions of dollars at stake here, it's crazy to me. Crazy. But you guys, I think what frustrates me the most is that we hear these stories about these artists, we hear these stories about these public figures, and we think that can never happen to us. Y'all, I know people just like you and me on a day-to-day basis that have family members. My grandfather died a few years ago. Actually, the year that I competed for Miss USA, my grandfather passed away. My grandfather was probably the cheapest man I'd ever met. He was a principal in the Seattle Public School District for a really, really long time, had houses all across the country because he was old school and really believed in property. But he wasn't my blood grandfather. He married my grandmother about 40 years ago. They were married all of my entire life, so he was the only grandfather I knew. I personally knew what my grandfather's wishes were when he passed away. Me and him had talked about it in nausea. Like, I knew I was probably one of the few grandchildren that talked to him on a business level because I was so interested in his mind, because to make so little amount of money as he did as a teacher year after year, he still was so smart with his money that his real estate portfolio was out of this world, you guys, just amazing. But because he wasn't my blood relative, I knew that if any of the things that he wanted to happen in our family, he was going to have a will. Well, his son, who was not my grandmother's real son, was in charge of his entire estate. None of his grandchildren, blood or non-blood, have seen a dime from his estate. Why? Because he did not have a will. So I could go to the court and say, hey, I know exactly what my grandfather wanted. Use a lie? They don't know. They don't know. So I had to humbly eat the fact that I knew what my grandfather wanted. We had an amazing relationship, but his son took everything. And here's the even crazier part, you guys. My grandfather actually did have a will. He never gave it to anyone to be able to actually show in the absence of his death. Do you know who had a copy of it? His son. So because he had been upset, he was very, put out by the fact that his dad had gotten remarried to somebody who wasn't his mother. He held a lot of resentment. I have prayed. I have forgave. I know that God will bless me tenfold of what my grandfather was trying to leave me. I could care less about the money. What pains my heart is that I know a man that is no longer here had a dying wish for how he wanted what he had worked for his entire life to be split up. Things get real hazy and real crazy when someone passes. There's a lot of things that just come up, resentment and frustration, and I wish you could have done this in life, but now in death I'm going to be vindicated. A lot of things happen. So where you may be able to say, well, I'm not a Jay-Z and I'm not a Prince and I don't have millions of dollars to leave to Nana and Uncle and Timmy and them, you have something. You have something that you desire to happen a certain kind of way. So if I can say anything to you guys, please, 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 please have a will, especially if you have children.